Are you ready for a story? How about a story about volcanoes? This story is called Popocatépetl and Iztaccíhuatl. It's a folktale from Mexico. Long ago in Mexico, a great Aztec king had a daughter named Iztaccíhuatl. Iztaccíhuatl was a wonderful young woman. She was smart, kind, and very beautiful. All the greatest Aztec warriors wanted to marry her. But Iztaccíhuatl loved only one warrior. His name was Popocatépetl. Popocatépetl was the greatest of all the Aztec warriors and the leader of the king's army. Popocatépetl loved Iztaccíhuatl too. At that time, enemy warriors were attacking the Aztecs. They were destroying villages and killing many of the people because they wanted the Aztecs' land. The king called Popocatépetl to his palace.
"Our people need you," the king said. "You and your army must go and fight this enemy. If you defeat our enemy, I will allow you to marry my daughter."
Popocatépetl was very happy. But Iztaccíhuatl didn't want Popocatépetl to go. "If you go, I'm afraid you will be killed," she said. "I am afraid I will lose you forever." Popocatépetl tried to reassure her. "No one will kill me," he said. "I will return. Then I will marry you, and we will be together forever." Popocatépetl kissed Iztaccíhuatl and said goodbye. Then he left to fight the enemy. "If I lose him, I'll die from grief," Iztaccíhuatl cried. Weeks passed, and Iztaccíhuatl waited and worried. Finally, a messenger arrived. "Popocatépetl army defeated the enemy," said the messenger. "He fought bravely, and his army killed many enemy warriors. But I also have terrible news. As he was fighting, an enemy arrow shot Popocatépetl in the heart. He died as he fought to protect his people." Iztaccíhuatl fell into her father's arms and started to cry. Iztaccíhuatl was filled with grief. She cried day after day for her lost love. She did not eat. She did not drink. She grew thin and pale. The king did not know what to do.
"Oh, my daughter is dying because I set Popocatépetl to fight," he said. "But I had no other choice. I had to protect my people."
After days of not eating or drinking, Iztaccíhuatl became sick with a terrible fever. None of the king's doctors could help her. 3 days later, she closed her eyes and died. But just as Iztaccíhuatl died, loud shouts of excitement came from outside the palace. "He's back!" a palace guard shouted. "Popocatépetl is back!" It was Popocatépetl. He was not dead. And now he was back and looking for his love, Iztaccíhuatl. Popocatépetl raced up the palace steps to see his love. He ran through the palace to Iztaccíhuatl's room. But when he got to the door, he saw her lifeless body.
"I am sorry," said the king. "She thought that you were dead. She was so sad, she died of grief."
The great warrior looked at Iztaccíhuatl's lifeless body and exploded with anger and grief. "No!" he cried. "Why did I leave her?" Popocatépetl carried Iztaccíhuatl to a far-off valley surrounded by mountains. It was a sacred place where the Aztec people took their dead. All day, he yelled up to the sky. "Iztaccíhuatl! Why did you leave me?" he cried. Popocatépetl made 2 mounds of earth. He placed Iztaccíhuatl on one mound. He lay down on the other. Popocatépetl ate nothing. He drank nothing. 3 days later, he died too. The Aztec gods looked down from the sky.
Popocatépetl was a great warrior, they said. We must honor him and his great love. We will turn Popocatépetl and Iztaccíhuatl into 2 great mountains that roar. Whenever these mountains roar, people will remember them.
The gods took the mounds and created 2 big volcanoes. These were the first volcanoes in Mexico. The Aztecs called one volcano Iztaccíhuatl, and they called the other Popocatépetl. Popocatépetl and Iztaccíhuatl are now together forever, just as Popocatépetl promised Iztaccíhuatl. The volcano called Iztaccíhuatl is now dormant and sleeps quietly next to the volcano called Popocatépetl. Popocatépetl sometimes lets out blasts of ash and steam from his crater. The eruptions shake the earth and frighten the people who live nearby. When this happens, the people say that Popocatépetl is still yelling at the sky, and he is calling to his great lost love, Iztaccíhuatl. The end.